And good morning. I think we're ready to go here on YouTube. Let's bring in our Facebook groups on the Falcons Podcast. That is Atlanta Falcons on SI and Scott Kennedy Sports. It is bye week. That doesn't mean we've got lots to talk about, including some injury updates and grades. I thought the bye week on a Wednesday would be a good time to do that. Looks like we're good to go over on Facebook. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Wednesday edition of the Falcons Podcast. It is fall. It is October 1st. Happy, gorgeous fall weather in the Southeast to all of you. I hope you are having a great day already. Hope it gets just a little bit better. It's just going to be me today, so it's going to be me and you. So thank you for being here today. Help me get through the show. A couple things I want to go through today. The two main topics, and we'll also hit on anything that y'all want to hit on, because I like having the conversation with you. I want to talk a little bit about injured reserve with the bye week. Some players that might come back and where they might fit in. And not just injured reserve, but injuries. Darnell Mooney, AJ Terrell, updates on those guys. And then I want to get into grades. I thought Wednesday of a bye week before we get into, we've got the long weekend off then. And then next week we can start looking forward to the Buffalo Bills. But I wanted to get into grades. And I'm going to do them by unit, not just by offense, defense, but by offensive line, offensive coordinator, special teams, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to get in through do them all that way. First off, though, like I said, we go live on Monday and Wednesday mornings on the Falcons Podcast, and also Tuesdays and Thursday in the evenings with Garrett, for those of you that want to have drive time on your way home or just while you're making dinner or whatever. Just two different times, more content for you. But I like going live because I like having the conversation with y'all. So I want to say hello to some folks like Dontez Jackson, who came in nice and early before we got started. Denver Luke, one of our supporters, he says, morning, Scott, I know there's a Falcons show, but can you give your 2 cents on how the Broncos are doing so far and what's your record prediction? He's got a smiley face and a coffee emoji. I'm not sure I can drink to that. I haven't had any yet, so I like to play the game. Let's see when the caffeine starts kicking in on Scott around the 20-minute mark, 25-minute mark. You can kind of tell. So it's kind of a fun game. 2 cents on the Denver Broncos. They're 2-2, lost 2 really close games to good teams. I still think they're a little short at the wide receiver department. As far as, I hear they have to spread the ball around. They get too many mouths to feed. No, they don't. They don't have enough mouths to feed. That's the problem for me. J.K. Dobbins is good. R.J. Harvey is good. I think they've sorted the running back position. Ingram will help when he's healthy, but I still think you need a more dependable number 2 wide receiver. Is Franklin that guy? Maybe. Mims is a nice 3, a nice gadget guy, but I don't think he's a dependable number 2. I think you still need a wide receiver. And then center needs to get sorted too. You've gone cheap on center in the last couple of years, and Lloyd Cushenberry and now Luke Wattenberg are like 27th and 28th in PFF center rankings. And that's who's been your centers for the last 5 or 6 years. Get a center. Go spend a premium draft pick on a center and get that position sorted. Those are my 2 cents on the Denver Broncos. Now, back to the Atlanta Falcons. John Harrell Jr., one of our members. Thank you for being a member, John. Good morning, family. He's just ready to give out grades right now. Defense, B+. Offense, D. Special teams, F. Coaching, C-. We'll break it down a little bit more than that. I don't think overall I'm going to be quite that harsh for a 2-2 team. And again, some of my grades will also reflect expectations. Especially coaching, I guess. What are we expecting out of Jeff Ulbrich before the season versus what are we getting now? That might reflect in a grade. And again, I think there's questions about the offense, but total yards and stuff, it's a top 10 unit. They're 7th in total yards. So we'll get into all of that. We'll see on that. James, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Austin Freeze is in as well. Terry, good morning. Hope you are doing well also. Sam, just respell your name. I thought there was a U in there. Good morning, Scott and Nick on the Falcons Podcast. Or do we have 2 Psalms? And I'm missing. Is this my LA Psalm? Rusty is our resident angry bird. Literally, the Falcons show. I didn't do that on purpose. 2 biggest needs are cornerback 2 and wide receiver 2. Everyone after AJ and Drake is garbage. And if I have to see D. Alford get burnt one more time and see people continue to say he's serviceable, I'm going to lose my poop emoji. Serviceable. Oh, I think Mike Hughes is serviceable. I think he is a serviceable cornerback to an average. When we start looking at the baseball stat that y'all know I love is WAR, wins against replacement, where a 0 means league average. Mike Hughes would probably hang right around 0. He's serviceable. D. Alford would be a negative. You could replace him with an average player, an average NFL player. I don't think that he is one. And to be fair, he wasn't supposed to be in the lineup. But again, the Falcons haven't drafted a cornerback above a day 1 or day 2. So that means above the third round or above, since AJ. So you kind of got what you've bought out there. You've tried to piece together. You've gone at corner. You've gone expensive at safety and the safety play. Anybody complaining about the safety play last couple of years? No. So, it is a league where you can get lucky, but at premium positions, quarterback, edge, offensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, the premium positions, it's tough to get lucky. It's tough to go out there and get lucky as far as I've got a superstar at a later round position. You've got to invest. The Falcons realized that as far as the defense goes this year, they went premium position, and edge. And then, frankly, a third round pick on a safety is still a day 2 pick on a non-premium position is a premium pick. Does that make sense? So you can get non-premium position, interior linemen, running backs, tight ends, safeties. I think those are the main ones. I can get good value on those players on day 2. So if I'm using a third round pick on a safety, I'm expecting him to be a starter. So they've invested, the last couple of years, they went under Terry Fontenot with their top 10 picks. They went tight end, non-premium position, but you're hoping Kyle Pitts is a premium weapon. Hasn't really worked out that way. Wide receiver, definitely a premium position. Then running back. Again, number 8 overall, running back is a non-premium position, but you're hoping to get a premium player. I think that has worked out. Bijan's one of the top players in the NFL. And then quarterback, edge. That's where his 6 first-round picks have gone. 4 of those have gone at premium positions. And you're hoping that those guys end up becoming your big-time players, the leaders on your team. Macktown Dirty, good to see you. Jay Gribben, hope you are doing well. Good to see you as well. One of my fellow Pope Greyhounds, Michael Ronquillo, is here. He says, good morning, Scott, on the Falcons podcast. And he's bringing us a little bit of news. And Psalm did change the spelling on his name. So the Cleveland Browns have changed their quarterback to rookie Dylan Gabriel. Oh, my. Not that Flacco is anything special, but watch Dylan Gabriel over at the Senior Bowl, and he's a gamer, is I guess the way to put it. He's one of those players, if you're watching in drills, you're like, nope. And then when the game came on, when they went to 11v11, when they went to scrimmage situations, he started moving the ball. I'm like, okay, well, the guy's just a gamer, but he's like 5'10". Isn't he like tiny, if I remember right? And oh man, talk about a mess at quarterback. I get on the Falcons for their misuse of resources when it comes to the quarterback position, but shoot, all they blew was $100 million only. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't think blew $100 million. Relatively speaking, the Browns blew $250 million, probably a little more than that after the restructures, because guys don't restructure their contracts for free unless they're going to get cut, and they're not going to do that when they got guaranteed money coming. $250 million and 5 draft picks, including at least 2 first-rounders. My God, talk about mismanaging. And then your quarterback is Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. I'm sure that set Twitter on fire with, why isn't Shador the guy on that one? I don't have an answer for that one. Haven't watched them, though. Some went to Long Beach, went to Jordan High School, a Poly High rival. Not in football, they're not. Not when I was out there, some. I got to watch Long Beach Poly a lot. They have jackrabbits. Literally, they're the Long Beach Poly jackrabbits. They have jackrabbits in their parking lot, laying down. Good to see Maurice. Hope you are doing well. And Terry's talking about the lines of scrimmage. He says, that's what happens when you neglect the lines of scrimmage for so long. The Falcons have been building this O-line for 5 years. The D-line was so depleted, you needed to catch up. to double dip to catch up. Yeah, they hadn't gone defensive line like 3 times in 20 years in the first round, something ridiculous. We did that comparison to what Philly had done as far as building up the defensive lines. But yeah, they've you just wonder, did you wait too long to do that? I felt that was one of several fatal flaws that Thomas Dimitroff had. By the time he got around to building the offensive line, they'd already missed their window. If Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry had been drafted in 2014, 2015 instead of 2019, then things might have been a little bit different. Roy, good to see you. He says, good morning, Scott. Nice to talk football with you again. You too, Roy. Good to see you on here. Roy is another one of our Broncos looking to talk a little football this morning. Josh says, bad time to have your bye week this early in the season. All right, let's get into the injuries on this. Let me take this is a nice time to take a 2-second break. I can put my commercials in on the audio. All right. Lion Coffee outdid themselves. They sent me some of the Kona. My goodness, it's good. Lion Coffee powering the Falcons podcast. And they pay me in coffee, and yes, I am for sale. Bad time to have your bye week. You think that and you're like, okay, but it'd be nice to get Darnell Mooney healthy. It'd be nice to get AJ Terrell healthy. I would agree with you to say it's a bad time because there's always going to be bumps and bruises. If we pick out any time in the next, 4 weeks in? So there's 14 weeks left in the season. Any week in the next 12 weeks when other teams are having their byes, you could probably say, this would be a good time to have a bye as far as resting your players goes. However, that it comes on, you have the players that you put on injured reserve that are designated for a return. I wrote this yesterday. I did 800 words on this yesterday on falconssi.com. Players that are designated for a return are eligible to come off injured reserve after 4 weeks. They don't have to, but they can. They're eligible now. And what you do is you start their clock. You open up a practice window, a 21-day practice window. What that means is I've got a 21-day evaluation period where they're basically still on injured reserve. They don't count towards my 53, but now they're allowed to join practice and be full participants during the week so I can evaluate them. During that 21-day period, I then decide if I want to add them to my 53-man roster, making them eligible to play, but then I have to make another move. So right now it means I can have Storm Norton come and practice with the team as a 54th guy, but if I play him or I decide that I want to play him in the next 21 days, I have to then cut somebody. I have to make a corresponding move. So there's 4 players. Let's break them down real quick. Storm Norton was one of those guys. We talked about him on Monday. Swing tackle. He was the primary backup at right tackle and left tackle. When Caleb McGarry went down, he was scheduled to start at right tackle. His ankle injury, that was no big deal, that's kept him out all summer, didn't participate in any of preseason, any of training camp, all of a sudden needed surgery, and now he's out 4 to 6 weeks. Well, he would be eligible to come off now, but after not playing at all since I don't even know when was the last time he was a participant in practice, OTAs, minicamp, I'm not sure. I don't remember that far. Is he going to come in and take Eli Wilkinson's job right away? I don't think so. Eli has been, and let's use this term going back to Rusty, Eli has been serviceable at right tackle. He's been okay. He hasn't been great. Storm Norton's not great. Storm Norton has been serviceable in his career. If Caleb goes down, he can step in and do a job. Eli has not been a huge liability for this team. He's been okay. It's Storm Norton, who was just okay to begin with, who hasn't played in 6 months. Is he going to step in and be better than Eli right away? I don't think so. So even if they open up his window, I wouldn't expect him to play in the next 2 weeks. I don't know for sure that he'd be an immediate upgrade. I wouldn't mind having him for depth purposes, because if something, God forbid, happens to Jake Matthews or Eli Wilkinson, then what? So let him come in and break glass in case of emergency on that. Then Troy Anderson, linebacker. bet he's a beast on Madden. Maybe they might not give him anything. They might not let him show his skills on Madden because it doesn't translate to the field because he's never on the field. But physically speaking, he is arguably the most physically gifted player on the Falcons defense, arguably, as far as height, weight, speed, size, agility, explosiveness. If he's out there, what we see in early down situations, we see a lot of 3-3-5s. That was what Ryan Nielsen ran primarily because he didn't have any edge rushers. So Ryan Nielsen ran a 3-3-5, which was 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, with one of them being a stand-up edge rusher for a 4-man front, and then 2 inside guys, and then you'd run your nickel package behind them. When we see the Falcons doing that in early downs right now, it's primarily been Leonard Floyd early, Jalen Walker coming into, with Divine Diablo and Caden Ellis never leaving the field. If they wanted to go bigger in a situation like this, having Caden Ellis, Divine Diablo, and Troy Anderson coming in and run situations like against a team like the Buffalo Bills, that would be a nice piece to have. But I can't count on him. And Larry says, I go crazy with Troy Anderson on Madden. JB says, yeah, he is really good on Madden. It doesn't surprise me. It's like, wouldn't you like to have this guy? You see that with older players, that are falling apart, can't stay healthy, but they're still graded too high on Madden. You're like, man, I wish we had this player that was still out there. That's where Troy, but can you count on Troy Anderson? Are you expecting Troy Anderson to come out there and be that wild card, that defensive joker, that chess piece out there that you can move? Because now I could have Divine Diablo and Troy Anderson in the back, and I can move Caden Ellis wherever the hell I wanted to. I could have him be the stand-up edge rusher and move around. It'd be a lot of fun to be able to do that, but I can't count on him. The Falcons didn't count on him in the offseason. That's why they signed Divine, and Divine has been really good. Want to say hello to Hellzat, just showing some love, and thank you for that. He says, morning, Scott, just showing some love with the super chat, breaking the ice for us with super chats over there. Thank you, my friend. I certainly appreciate it. It means a lot. Keeps these lights on, keeps his forehead nice and shiny, helps keep us in coffee. So thank you so much for the super chat. The third player, we did Storm, we did Troy. Who am I missing? The 4-1, Taquan Graham. TQ, I don't know if he might be a bubble guy, honestly, on the 53 right now. The rotation is fairly well set out there. You've got, several defensive linemen. LaCale London made this team. He was on the practice squad last year, but he's the only guy that's over 320 pounds. I don't think he's going anywhere. Zach Harrison has been amazing this year. Rook, Brandon Dorless, not taking one of their spots. So if I find a spot for TQ, who am I cutting becomes a question. I'd sure like to have him in the rotation, but I'm not sure if Graham comes back, if he definitely has a spot on this defensive line. So we'll see what happens when they open the window on him. And the fourth one, who am I forgetting as the fourth player? It was Storm, Troy Anderson. Somebody help me out in the chat here. TQ, and I'm forgetting somebody. So let's say hellos, and someone help me out here. So Braylon Trice. Thank you. Beat you to it. Braylon Trice, I have said over and over again, I think his timetable for being a contributor for the Atlanta Falcons is 2026. Arnold Ebiketie is a free agent this year, and his snap count was the lowest it was all year last game. Jalen Walker is coming up. James Pierce, he's not beating out those two guys in pass rush situations. Leonard Floyd has been fantastic as a pass rusher. I don't give a damn what PFF grades say. I trust my eyes on him, and he has been really, really good. And then, Arnold Ebiketie's your 4. Where's Braylon Trice fit in there? However, Ebiketie is a free agent. Floyd is a free agent, so to speak. And if he's not, then it was a 2-year deal with all the money in one, and he would be cuttable, financially speaking. But those guys aren't guys you're counting on having. Braylon Trice, you're hoping, can step in and take one of those positions next year as James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker end up being the first-round picks that you want them to be. I don't count on Braylon Trice to do anything this year. If he does, he's 275 pounds. He weighed 247 at the combine. He was listed at like 265, 270 and in college, and then goes to the combine and has didn't have a great Senior Bowl. I don't remember if he was at the Senior Bowl. I always get him and Dorless confused. Dorless was definitely there. I don't think Trice was, but at the combine, he was like 247. Had a mediocre pro day, didn't test all very well. That's why he fell down to the third round. But at 275 pounds, he offers a different physical profile on early downs and run games that you don't have from anybody else on the edge. So if he does find a role, I think it would be early down run situations. However, I didn't have any expectations for Braylon Trice coming into this season. And forget what they say, watch what they do. They basically held him out of all of training camp and all of preseason, aggravated an injury, and put him on IR. Braylon Trice's timetable is 2026. That's that would be if he ends up making a contribution for the Atlanta Falcons, it'll be starting next season. Okay, those are the four. Those are my four thoughts on those guys. Let's say hello to some folks, and then let's get into the grades. Stephen B is here. Good to see you. TJ, it feels like a newer name. Welcome in. Stephen B says, can a running back be a premium player if he's durable and dynamic? Sure, he is a premium player, and that's what you're hoping to get. I've said, Nick and I have gone back and forth on this a bunch, and I will say that there is no cost on a game changer. You know, do I want to spend $20 million on a safety? Not generally, and they don't. Do I want to use a number 8 pick on a running back? Not generally. If I do, then I need them to be a game changer. Jesse Bates is a safety. He's a game changer. He's an all-pro. You're getting value there. Bijan Robinson at number 8, he's a game changer. You got value there at number 8. I don't care what Seth Walder and his analytics say as far as this is. How did he describe that? I don't think it was inexcusable, but it may have been unexplainable, I think is how he said. It's like, it was really easy to explain. He's a good player that's going to get the ball 25 times a game for a team that likes to run. So yes, the Falcons are getting value with the number 8 pick at a non-premium position in Bijan Robinson. Absolutely. Michael Lewitsky, Island Mike, good to see you. Vincent Brewington, Kobe was one of the players he was talking about. That's not who I was talking about. Kobe is on the practice squad. He was not IR'd. He was re-signed to the practice squad, Kobe Bryant. But I don't know. We'll see. When the Falcons are so razor thin at corner and you keep seeing the same guys, it makes you think that the other guys just aren't so good. You know, is Kobe, why isn't Kobe ready? He can't beat out D. Alford. Clark Phillips can't beat out D. Alford. You know, those are not good signs. We're going to use D. Alford as our barometer there. And if you're behind D. Alford, you don't really have a place in 2025. Now you can develop, maybe you can in the future, but it's not a good sign. I've been screaming for cornerback for a while, and you can't fix everything all at once, especially when you trade 2 players for 1 every single time. But they need to make an investment in the cornerback room. They need, and Rusty's right, they absolutely need another wide receiver. And let's not forget offensive tackle, y'all. Jake's getting old. Caleb's coming off a knee injury. Offensive tackle might end up being the biggest need of them all in the very, very near future. Couple more hellos. Want to say hello to Christy. Christy, hope you are doing well. Welcome in. Jay Black. He says we should be careful not to overuse Bijan and Tyler have run on the rock on a 60-40 clip. Yeah, I think I've said a bunch of times that the best thing to happen to Tyler Algier was him running well, 1,000 yards, and then Bijan Robinson coming along. Well, why is that? You know, he's not getting the ball as much. Yeah, but he wouldn't get paid anymore either. He's getting a total of $4 million across his contract as a 5th-round draft pick. Now, he has proven that he is a premier back. He is a top 20 back minimum starter, and he will make at least $6 million next year. At least. I think it's probably going to be closer to 8. He's made $4 million in his career. He's going to double that next year, and good for him. And then not running the wheels off Bijan and hopefully getting more efficiency. That's what we talked about at the beginning of the season. I want to see more. I don't want to see more touches for Bijan. I think he's changed it back to. I don't want to see more touches for him. I want to see more efficient touches. I don't want to see him running between the tackles and burying his head in it. That's what Tyler's for. And I don't need 25 carries from Tyler running into brick walls. 15 carries, 5 receptions, 20 receptions, 340 touches a year. That's plenty. That's plenty. I want to see more yards per game, more yards per touch, more touchdowns. We are seeing those on that. And John says, Clark is small and slow by cornerback standards. He is. That's why he probably should have been in the middle. Probably should have been at nickel all along, playing more of a safety role. Instincts. The more athletic you are, the farther away from the ball you are, the more athletic you have to be. That's the general rule, except for running back. That's the general rule. And if I'm not quite athletic enough for outside corner, I need to move inside. If I'm not athletic enough for nickel, can I play safety? If I can't play offensive tackle, can I play guard? Can I play center? You move outside to inside in football. Moving him outside didn't make any sense, but maybe they figured that was the only place he could play. I don't really get it, to be honest with you. But if he can't get on the field this year I think this will probably be his last season in Atlanta. Rio, good to see you, Rio. You're usually over there on Facebook, so good to see you over here on YouTube. He says, my grades for the first quarter, quarterback C+, running back A-, wide receiver C-, tight end B+, OL B, pass rush B+, DL run stop is a B, linebacker A, cornerback B, safety A-, special teams D, rookies and second-year players A+. Very nice. And coaching overall gets a C+. Let's get into it now, real quick. Want to run through these. We're at 27 minutes. I'm going to take a slug of coffee. And also take a second to remind you, in the description of the video on YouTube, there is a link to become a member. Next Monday, maybe Wednesday. Yeah, Monday, because we don't have a game on to talk about on Monday. Monday, I'm going to do a raffle for all the members where I'm going to send everybody. I'm going to send the winner of the raffle this 24-ounce bag of Lion Coffee Vanilla Macadamia as a thank you for being a member. We'll raffle it off in front of everybody. There's two levels, the Nest and the Perch. One's a little more expensive than the other. If you're a Perch member, you will get 3 raffle tickets. If you are a Nest member, you'll get 1. But you have to be a member to win, and we'll do that on Monday, and I'll send you one as a thank you. Jay Black says, that was a pitiful drag on coffee from an excellent coffee mug. Yeah, this is my How to Train Your Dragon mug that we got from Universal. Is that better? That was a full one. Usually I'll go through, if Nick's on here, I'll go through this whole thing about 30 minutes into the show. It's harder for me to do that while we are here. All right, let's get into it. I want to do the grades here. I want to start with the high grade. I want to start off on a good note. So I want to start off at the running back position. And I think you can go A to A+ on the running back position. Bijan and Tyler Algier, if they're not the best tandem, they're top 2. And you can make an argument if you're a Detroit fan and you want to say these are the best. I'm not going to argue with you. One of the phrases I use is I don't argue levels of elite. I will tell you what I think and then acknowledge that you have a good argument too. Those aren't the kind of battles I'm going to get into. Bijan is one of the best players, one of the best guys in the with the ball in his hands in the entire NFL. Tyler Algier is still on pace for 700 yards and 8 touchdowns, despite only getting 1 touch in one of the 4 games. Tyler's going to get paid like a starter come next year. Bijan is going to get paid like a top 3 running back within the next year, 2 years, once he comes off of his rookie deal. So I go with with an A at running back. Now, I want to line up, I'm going to hit on some of the things that y'all have to say too. It would be fun. We wouldn't have had that threat since Andrews and Kane. Oh, why am I forgetting people already? It's you can remember people from like first grade, and I can't remember things that happened 5 years ago. Devontae Freeman and his running mate were a pretty good pair, and I can't remember the guy. It was fast guy came out. So help me out with that. Count Raculus is. Do I get paid by SI to run this channel? No, this is mine. I'm an independent contractor on Sports Illustrated. I have contracts. I'm not a Sports Illustrated employee. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. I have the Atlanta Falcons contract on Sports Illustrated, and this is my channel. This is actually YouTube's channel, but this is my channel with YouTube and Facebook, etc. So they are my property on those. So good question. I like talking the business side of things, and yes, thank you, Tevin Coleman, y'all, was who I was forgetting on that. So running back A. Now, as far as quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, I feel like I can lump those all in together. I won't, but I want to know that quarterback and wide receiver, for sure, there's some synergy in the grades there. Because quarterback, relative to expectations, I would think Michael Penix has probably been a C+ to a B-. And some of it could then also tie into my offensive coordinator grade, because what he's really struggled to do to this point till the last game was push the ball downfield. What do we love about Michael Penix? We love the gunslinger mentality, and all of a sudden we turn him into a hobbled version of Kirk Cousins the first 3 weeks of the season. It doesn't work. That's not his game. His game is, let's take a couple chances. Let's stress the back end of the defense. Then let's open up things underneath, because the safety's backpedaling all the time because he knows they have to do it. Well, Scott, we're missing the deep threat. Bull. I don't buy it. You don't have to have a 4-3 guy to isolate a wide receiver. If I see single coverage on Drake London or Kyle Pitts, that's a shot. They only need about 3 seconds to get 25 yards downfield. And if I hang the ball up there with a 2-second hang time, they can be 50 yards down the field. Take your shots. Give Drake a chance to make a play 1v1. Give Kyle Pitts a chance to make a play down the field. I don't need speed, super speed to go deep. I don't. It's nice. It helps. But Drake London 1v1 is a deep threat. He absolutely is. He can body his cornerback, or he can get a pass interference, and it changes the eyeballs of the back four on the defense. It absolutely does. So part of the problem I have with Penix is hesitancy. He's been scared. He's been playing a little scared instead of free. When he is playing free and loose, he's really good. Turn it loose, man. Let's move the ball downfield. So a B- to a C+ on that one. Trenton, good to see you. He says Chap is in post games press. I love it here. Yeah, he is there, and he's asked. I can hear his voice in there when I'm going through the Garrett Chapman. He is our on-site reporter for games, so he'll be there again, and is doing a really, really good job for Falcons SI. And thank you for the support and being a member, Trenton. Double dipping here for sure. Bucks Rays Bolts, good morning. Good to see you. Hope you are doing okay. And he says, what do you think about the Kirk rumors? I haven't seen any worth paying attention to this point. You know, I saw a headline from SI that I was probably going to look at, maybe aggregate one trade every team should make. I know it's going to be Kirk Cousins. Well, until somebody comes after Kirk Cousins with an offer that is going to take $20 million, he's not going anywhere. They're going to have to pay some money, or at least up the draft pick, basically $5 million per round. But saying Kirk to Cincinnati, I don't know. Kirk for Shedeur, Kirk to Cleveland. This Cincinnati is so bad right now. Does he make enough of a difference to give up some premium capital to Cincinnati? Cincinnati looks like one of the, if not the worst team. They're a bottom 3 team in the NFL right now. Are they a playoff contender with him in 1 year where it's worth $20 million in a third-round pick? I don't know. Wide receiver, D. Wide receiver is a D. And part of that is because Penix isn't throwing the ball down the field. Drake Blocking is an A+. Drake got banged up in the first game and wasn't having a great game then. He had a nice game in the last game when they started pushing the ball downfield. After Drake, I'm with Rusty on this one. You go to wide receivers, Darnell Mooney has 7 catches for 79 yards. Ray McCloud has 6 catches for 64 yards, and Casey Washington has 4 catches for 52 yards. Wide receivers a D at best right now. We talked about the beginning of the year. Not everybody, and we hit on this on Monday. Not everybody's going to have a career year. Not everybody is. Where's the drop off going to come? The obvious answer for me was Ray McCloud. That's happening. The second one is now coming to fruition is Darnell. Now, if Darnell comes back, plays 10 games and averages 70 yards and finishes with 750 yards, it will be a drop off. But man, I'd take that in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you take 700 yards? If I said Darnell Mooney's going to finish this season with 700 yards and 5 touchdowns, would you sign up for that? I would. I'd take it right now. That means he is healthy. That means he is pushing the stretching the defense. It means he is a weapon. I would take that right now. And Maurice, good to see Maurice. He says wide receiver is an F. I saw Big Low come in. How you doing, Big Low Country? He says, what in the world, Bo? Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Nick Nash Time says JB. Hell, Chris Blair. You know, we had some guys that could catch the ball in preseason. Who else was it? Was it Dylan Drummond? I've already, like I said, I can remember my first grade teacher's name. Can't remember guys I watched last month. The hard drive's full. It's hard to make long-term memories when you get old. What's going on with Ray? And they tried to get him going, and he had 2 touches for one was a drop and the other was a negative play. I don't think you scheme Ray. You know, like I don't necessarily. I guess I kind of like it if you're gonna run a wide receiver screen, do it with Kyle Pitts and Drake London out blocking for you, and then you've got a punt returner with the ball in his hands. But you've got to push the ball downfield before you go sideways. So if you're only going sideways with your passing game, you can't run screen passes. There's too many guys. They're not going to bite out. So maybe that kind of stuff opens up when they start going downfield a little bit. And John says, Scott, why don't we use Drake like the Bucs use Evans? It's coming. You know, he lined up in the slot more. I think that helps. You know, I can double him. And again, then Kyle Pitts opens up on some of that too. Speaking of which, let's go to tight ends. I think we can go to a B plus on the tight ends. Charlie Warner still does a great job blocking. And Kyle Pitts has been lining up as a tight end. I've seen, you know, not as much as last season, but more than in his first 3 years. I think he was 76% in his first 3 years as lining up at wide receiver or in the slot. So somewhere in between there. And is Kyle Pitts breaking out? Not yet. Have we seen signs? Yes, we have. And again, some of this in the passing game is not just Kyle Pitts. It's Michael Penix. It's Zach Robinson. We said, I watch him in camp, watching him move. He looks different. I went to several training camp practices. He moves different this year. His attitude, his quickness, his burst, his explosiveness. He looked good. And I think he looks good out there. I'm pleased. Could we get more from Kyle Pitts? Yes. Do I think that's because of Kyle Pitts right now? No, I don't. I think Kyle Pitts is doing his job, and I think he's capable of doing more. I absolutely think he is doing more. It's capable of doing more. Offensive line. I'd go a B on the offensive line. They have dictated when they needed to dictate as far as running the ball. 200 plus yards against Minnesota, establishing the run in their wins against their win last week against Washington. We're going to run the ball, stop us, and we're going to throw it deep. Love it. That's a great identity for this team. We're going to hand the ball to Bijan. We're going to get a lead, and then you're going to have to try and tackle Tyler in the fourth quarter. Good luck. That is a good and Michael Penix, does he see pressure? Sure. It's the NFL. Has he been under pressure? Has there been a huge problem up there? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Ryan Newsell's doing a good job. I think Eli Wilkinson is doing a good job. We don't hear much from Chris Lindstrom, which is probably a good thing. Matthew Bergeron has improved after the first 2 games, and Jake is Jake. Jake has done fine. So I would go a B on that. With an offensive coordinator, I'd probably go B- on this. C+ to B-. I think they're underachieving a little bit. Let's go C+. I think they're underachieving a little bit to this point. I think they're too predictable based out of their formations. And the red zone has been bad. But when we look at the scoring, it moved up from like 31st, like 23rd. But it would probably be 15th if you could kick the damn ball. It would probably have moved up, and things might have changed a little bit if you could make field goals. So I'll go C+ on Zach Robinson. And I'd understand why people might say it should be better. But I think, again, there's good things about this offense. It's just hasn't been consistent enough. And why he doesn't, it feels like he misses on the easy stuff. That's what gets me. Like, oh, you mean, what do you mean I ran 10 straight plays, the same play 10 straight times out of this formation? Really? I didn't realize that. Yeah. Where's your MIT geek who wants to be a sports guy that you can pay $200,000 for crunching numbers in your ear? Come on, man. Marie says C+ is generous. Me and Scott have a different grade scale. C+ for, again, you got a team that's in the top 10 in total yards. Can't be that bad. Guys, we've seen bad. Can't be an F. Relatively speaking, though, I could probably work myself into going scorched earth on this. I got a number 8 wide receiver, a number 4 tight end, a number 8 running back, a number 8 quarterback, a first-round pick at left tackle, a second-round pick at guard. Where was Newsell? I think he was an undrafted free agent. I got a first-round pick at right guard, maybe the best offensive lineman. I got my 3rd-string right tackle. And I've got a good money wide receiver in Darnell Mooney. I got the best blocking tight end. It should be better than it is. He's failing. Okay, I can see that too. I can. But I think I've seen enough good things that it should be better. It will get better. C+ for me. I'm okay with that. But it's good. It's good for me in debates and stuff because I've got that voice in my head too, Maurice. I just have to pick out which one I want to listen to at the time. They don't score in the red zone, and that's my issue. Yes, and again, the kicking would have helped the overall scoring, obviously. Duh. But you add. Well, let me see what it is real quick. If I add, what would you say the kicking game has cost this team? I mean, you could say that if they make that first field goal, they go on to score a lot more than just 3 points, right? But if I add 4 points to the Atlanta Falcons in scoring right now, just 4 points, they go from 19 to 23, which moves them up to in between the Steelers and the Jets, which looks like about 17th. Still not good enough, but better. Again, C+ for me. Let's flip it over. We're at 43 minutes. Let's flip it over. Oh, Michael, let's get this one out of the way. I'd say our special teams are a D-. You're generous on this because I'm going a big F. F for Falcons on special teams. The kicking game has been atrocious. The return game has been non-existent. The kick coverage has been bad. The punt coverage has been bad. Bradley Pinion has been good. We talk about only one really atrocious game, as JB says, on offense. There was only one decent game on special teams, and that was against Minnesota. The other 3 have been subpar. F. Special teams are an F on that one. Was where I would go. So, again, I hit on all of them right there. Kick return, poor. Kick coverage, poor. Punt return, poor. Punt coverage, poor. Kicking, poor. Punting, solid. I think those are the 6 phases. Solid, F. Special teams is an F on that one. Let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. I started putting DL and edge into the same thing, but I probably shouldn't. Let's take the 3-man front as DL, and then we'll take edge as a separate category. The defensive line of David Onyemata, Zach Harrison, LaCale London, Brandon Dorless, Rororo. Those 5 are your key guys. B+. They've been good. They've been really good, especially when it comes to disrupting plays. They've been susceptible against the run, but we kind of knew that. We kind of expected that. And I think they've been better than we expected on that. They got up 2 scores, and I thought they got a little soft as far as what they allowed when Washington went down and closed it to 1 in the fourth quarter before the Falcons killed it with the drive on offense. But I think that was more of a mentality than it was, their actual play. When do we want to shut down? When do we want to bow up and stop them? Can we? I think the defensive line has been a B. Edge group with the rookies, the 4 guys out there at edge, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., Leonard Floyd, and Arlo Ebiketie has been at least a B. They've been able to get pressure. They've beaten guys one-on-one. They've set the edge when they needed to against the run. It's been at least a B on that one. Let's go to the linebacker group, which right now is just Divine Diablo and Caden Ellis. A. They've been great. And we knew Divine Diablo was going to be an upgrade over Nate Landman and what's his name? I've already forgot. This is ridiculous. He went out to L.A. Nate Landman's out in L.A., so J.D. Bertrand, he's still on the team. We knew he was going to be an upgrade over them. He's just physically so much more physically gifted. Oh, man. Has there been a bigger upgrade in the NFL from one player to the next, from linebacker to linebacker on that? That's been a huge upgrade on that defense, and what a difference it has made for the defense. So I'm going with an A on at the linebacker position. I don't mind getting a little off topic here for just a second. Mactown Dirty says, Scott, not to get off base, but I'm glad we had no money to throw at Tyreek Hill. Yeah, and I don't think it was you that came in and asked me. I think it was Derek. We had the little conversation on the YouTube chat. Derek was asking, what do you think about Tyreek Hill? I'm like, I don't know, man. Speed guys in their 30s that have dropped off scare the bejesus out of me. He's not just good because he's fast, but if he wasn't fast, he wouldn't be good. He wouldn't be near the guy that he was, and his production has dropped off. And I asked the question, how much of that is on him and his age? How much of that is on Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, which is kind of a show right now. They're a bad team right now. They need to go through a transition. And then, well, that answered that question. We may never see Tyreek Hill again. Unfortunately, one of the best playmakers in the history of this game. That was really unfortunate on that one. Let's see on this. Let's move on. We hit linebackers. I've got the DBs as kind of one group, but we could break those off. Corners, I'd probably go a C+ on corners, and part of that has to do with expectations. I don't expect them to be great, and AJ's been out for 2 games. When we saw him grab his hamstring, you could just tell. I said, that's 4 to 6 weeks right there on the back of his leg. You can see it, and it will be a full 4 weeks. If he doesn't play the first 2 games, he gets the bye off, then he gets 7 days to rest for the next one. It'll be 28 days between games and only miss 2. So hopefully AJ gets back. Those were 2 of the guys we didn't talk about. Raheem Morris says hopefully AJ's back against the Bills. That is a more realistic timeline than the week to week we were told beforehand, which I see a corner grab his hamstring and not return. Again, you can just write 4 to 6 weeks down. And then Darnell, you're not surprised when guys get strains after missing all of training camp. Injuries follow injuries because you're not in game condition. And then you go and play games and something else falls. Hamstrings follow knees like remoras on sharks. They go hand in hand. There's the injury that you rehab, but then there's all of the other muscles that all work together that all then are not at 100% either. So it just happens on that. Jordan said, you're probably fair on this one. Come on, Scott. C+ for the corners. with the number one pass defense. Who saw that? Well, let me move to the safeties. They are playing a base nickel, which is fairly common. Yeah, you're probably right on this. C plus might be a little harsh. Again, it might be my expectations, might be my bias. We talk about that all the time. My bias is I think they need a corner. Is that me grading on my own bias, thinking that they need to upgrade the cornerback room? Maybe you're right. But I think Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman has been really good, which counts as a nickel. It's an inside guy, but Billy Bowman is a nickel, and I think he's been good. So yeah, I think C plus might be harsh. You can move up on that. I can be talked into that. To a B on that for sure. So okay. Safeties, B plus to A minus. Jesse is Jesse, and Xavier Watts has been really good. Does he miss a tackle here and there? Yes. Who doesn't? It happens. Does he make a rookie mistake? Has he made them? Yes, he has. In order to get an upside rookie to play better, you have to live through the rookie mistakes. And I think the good has been much better than the bad with Xavier Watts, and I think he has been really, really good. Defensive coordinator. What do y'all think? What do y'all think of the grade based on your expectations, based on the personnel? What would be your grade for Jeff Ulbrich and the Atlanta Falcons right now? I'm going to take a sip of coffee, maybe a gulp so I don't get hell from JB, and let y'all put in this. There's just a slight delay of when it actually hits my screen on this. But TJ says an A for Jeff Ulbrich, and I would say an A through the first quarter of the season. Now, solid B for JB. Tanner says crazy thought, but I'm at an A. Now, does that mean this is just first quarter grades? I put quarter in there. I was on the quarter system when I was in college. I don't know about y'all. People are all on semesters like, what the hell's a quarter? A quarter of the game? I'm like, yeah, it still works. First quarter of the season, first quarter grades. They played Tampa Bay out of the gate, which is kind of a warm-up game from everybody, all right? Game 2, they played J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings, who are a travesty at times. A travesty. Bad. Game 3, they played Bryce Young, Carolina Panthers, who aren't setting the world on fire, throwing the ball and moving the ball through the air. That they got whipped had nothing to do with the defense. They played a banged-up Washington Commanders team. There are going to be much harder challenges for this Atlanta Falcons defense. That said, you can only play the people in front of you, and you're supposed to dominate them. They did. That is an A. That is an A. So that's where I go on that one. Overall, head coach, I did special teams already. Special teams is an F. Head coach, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me with a head coach who's not calling plays on offense or defense. His job is to oversee everything. If his offense is getting a C plus and his defense is getting an A, I would probably say B for Raheem Morris, and then maybe knock him to a B minus based on some of the time management things, end of half things with that. He had the wherewithal to cut Younghoe Koo. It needed to be done. It's not a fun thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. That I would probably go. There's C's coming in on Raheem, and but I would be okay with a B minus overall right now based on your defense looks really good and your offense is underachieving, but there are signs there. Again, let Michael Penix be Michael Penix, and I think you'll be just fine. But again, when we talk about the players that are being contributors on offense, they're the ones that you hoped they would be. It's Drake London, it's Kyle Pitts, it's Bijan Robinson. Those are your three guys right now. Those are your three go-to guys. Tyler comes in next behind Bijan. Michael Penix and the OC, coming together, being more aggressive down the field. It's kind of strange I say this because I want them to establish a run, which is a more conservative type of ideal, but I want them to take more shots downfield. Use the play action to stretch the defense on the backside, which is more aggressive. So can you be more aggressively conservative? Establish a run, stress the back of the defense. That's what I want to see. Rio says, an unpopular opinion, Watts has been better than Bates by a long margin. I wonder if I really, really wanted to break this down, and if I thought this was something that people really cared about, enough people to make it worth my while from the other things that we do here. I wonder how much people are throwing away from Bates and where Bates is saying, okay, Justin Jefferson's on this side, I need to be over here. And then they're throwing away, because we're seeing Watts more often. You can't tell me they're not throwing away from Bates when I know Watts is out there. So it's also one of the reasons it's hard to pay $20 million to a safety, but a good one, it changes the field on that. So I'm not going to say I haven't watched Bates enough to say that he's been better than Bates, because Bates isn't showing up as much as he has in the past. I think teams are staying away from him on that one. Let's see. Mac Town says, hit the likes on that. Yes, please. That'd be a big help on Atlanta Falcons SI and Sports and on YouTube. Hit the likes button on that. This is also a great point from TJ I wanted to bring up. Penalties are also pretty low this year. So I was producing the Mile High Huddle podcast last night, and they're saying that penalties are up in a big way. NFL-wide, there's been more flags thrown this year than last year and in years past. And the Falcons, every time I look, okay, self-inflicted wounds, turnover, penalties, 3. So let me see penalties by NFL team. The Falcons have to be in the bottom 5. NFL penalties, 2005, there's actually a site called NFL penalties. Games played against Atlanta is 30th in the least penalized teams. Pittsburgh is 19. Seattle is 20. Atlanta is 21 in the least penalized team. The team with the most is Jacksonville at 38, Minnesota at 37, New England at 35, and New Orleans at 35 also. So yes, if I was thinking C+, the least penalized teams, of course, they have to burn 3 timeouts a half for not getting delay a game. I kid a little. I kid. But it does seem to be a very disciplined team out there. Penalties down to 30. It's one of the times hey, they're 30th. Let's flip that around. Who are the least penalized team? They're 3rd. They're in 3rd place. So that was a great point. Thank you for bringing that back up, TJ. Because I agree. It is something that I did want to point out. On that note, y'all, I think we're going to get out of here. Want to say a reminder to become a member. It helps a lot. It is October. We're going to start doing members-only videos, quick hitters, where it'll be, this just happened. I react to it. I'll post it, and then we can have a conversation on it. It'd be for members only on that type of stuff. Want to say the description is in the description. I'll post it in the chat again real quick. But the link to becoming a member is also in the description. And then just in case, sometimes it's hard to see that on mobile. Invite viewers, that would be y'all. I'm going to hit here. I'm going to hit all and paste. That's how you can become a member. Want to say thank you to our most recent member, John Harrell, John Brothers, Pamela. They joined while we were on the show. And Jerry, they all joined on Monday. So thank you. Want to say thank you to Hellzat for the super chat. Rio, appreciate you coming over and the support and your good contributions. And Trenton for being a member and for the super chat. On that note, I am going to go get out of here. Garrett will be back tomorrow. Make sure you hit those notifications because he had to cancel last week and went on Friday instead. So we had a Friday show. Make sure you got the notifications turned on in case we change up the schedule. We don't want you to miss anything live because we like having you here. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Enjoy a day off. Enjoy the schadenfreude of football. There's a couple things I like turning on and watching. I like watching Calvin Ridley fail with the Titans. I like it. Schadenfreude, taking pleasure in the misfortune of others. It's German. Yes, I do. I'm petty. I'm sorry. I keep an eye on those type of box scores. So enjoy watching others go out there and flail around. There's a lot of that going on in the NFC South. Enjoy your college football weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks for being here, everybody.